First little ride out on the adventure bike for a little while. Little one. Very easy to ride. I'll have a bit of afternoon sun here. Is a good little bike, so I'm very shielded from the sun at the moment. So I haven't done a review for a little while. So this is my 390 Adventure. So it's not the Adventure R, it's just a standard Adventure. And I thought I'd just give you my first impressions on this one. So we've had this one for about a year or less, and we've only got about 2,300 Ks on it. So this is my third adventure bike, so the other two are a Husqvarna 701 and also my 1290 Adventure R. So primary purpose for getting this one is so that my sons can come out riding with me. So this is LAMS approved, so it's sort of like a low power approved. And some people are getting this as their primary adventure bike, mainly because it's, you know, cheap to get into and definitely way less, maybe a third of the price of the Adventure R and less than half the price of the Husky 701. And it comes with some pretty good features. So the suspension is nicely adjustable. I've got this bike pretty much standard at the moment. It's a fun little bike. You know, it's flickable. It's not as light as the Duke, so I've got a Duke 390 as well. This one packs a bit more weight, so on acceleration you just notice the power to weight ratio is a little bit less. But ergonomics are a little bit better on this, so if I was going to do a super long ride, this would be more comfortable. So I think the seat height is a little bit higher, so the knee bend angle is less. So the difference between this one and the new Adventure R, the R I think is a 21-18 wheel combination, and this is more of the middle ground 19-17 ratio as used on GS's, etc. So the fun thing about this little bike is it's nice and flickable on twisty roads. You know, its happy spot is you know, twisty stuff, 80 kilometers an hour or below. It's really quite nice in that regard. Extra things I'd put on this bike. So the screen itself, the standard screen, you can put it in two positions. We tried it up and the default position is down, and when I tried it up I was actually getting a little bit more turbulence. So I did a lot of reading with different reviews of people trying all sorts of different screens, and no one seemed to find a really good sweet spot which took care of turbulence and wind noise. So I think that's not an easy to solve issue, so whether that's the front design of the bike, etc. And you also have to play into where the price point is on this bike. You don't want to spend a fortune, but you want, you know, tasteful upgrades that actually make a difference. So I mentioned I upgraded the mirrors. I think that's a pretty easy, robust improvement to make. So that one little fall over, we broke a mirror. Tyres, that's the cheapest, easiest upgrade to the handling. Now it feels secure on road and in dirt. Something that's very noticeable on nice twisty sections of road is the turn-in is much better on these rallies. A third thing I'd try is, now you'll have to be more dedicated if you wanted to do this. If you want to do a lot of stand-up off-road riding, it really needs bar risers. So that opens another couple of challenges where you need to extend the cables for the brake and the clutch, I believe. There are kits available, but I was starting to think, hang on, am I looking to invest too much here? So they're the couple of areas that I'd look at improving. Along along with some sort of cruise control. So for my 701, I actually invested in the cruise, electronic cruise control. Now that's about $1,000 Australian, so it's pretty damn expensive. I fitted it myself, and it is actually fantastic. But that's probably spending too much for this little bike. So another cheap solution is just a throttle lock. I don't have it on yet, I haven't tested it, but I just bought a little mechanical throttle lock. That way you can just take your hands off and relax a bit. You know, save you getting sore wrists, forearms, etc., on longer rides. So it really depends on your use case. If you're going to ride this bike, 5,000 k's in a week, then some sort of cruise control, I think, would be a really good comfort assistance. So just coming into the setting sun here, well, a low sun, not quite setting yet. It does get just in your eyes. So reviewing this bike in different categories, if you looked at appearance, I think it's okay. I think it's got a quite a cute look with the dual headlights on the front. It's in keeping with the KTM series. It does look like the little brother of the 890, and I think KTM have done a good job there. Ergonomics, I think the riding position is really pretty good. Handlebar position, knee bend is okay. It's probably not quite 90 degrees, it's less than 90, maybe 70. Peg height is pretty good, seat height is pretty good. As I've said, the seat height's a little bit higher than the Duke, but it's still quite easily reachable down to the ground. Weight-wise, it's still a very light bike compared to some of the other bigger multi-cylinders. Engine, it's pretty good. It's nice, smooth, revvy, sort of red lines, 10,000 RPM. Gearbox is nice and smooth. It's got the up-down quick shifter. However, that quick shifter, it's not as smooth as the 701 and the 1290. The 701, even though that bike's a single, that quick shifter is really, really smooth. Remarkable for a bike in that segment. This one, it's passable, but it can be a little bit jerky. And that's just on the budget, of the build of this bike. Interestingly, when you do look at that quick shifter, you'll have a look on the shift shaft itself. It doesn't actually have a sensor. The sensor is actually all the way through on the other side of the shaft, at the other side of the motor. So maybe that's a cost effectiveness thing. That it is what it is there. So suspension, it's actually pretty good. So adjustable front and back. It's a white power suspension system, and yeah, I wouldn't spend any money unless you're really trying to make this a lot more hardcore, and then I think that's probably not the budget you're in. You should go for a different spec bike. So I think that suspension is perfectly adequate for road and gentle off-road. We've taken this on a few little off-road adventures, nothing too gnarly, not anything we would have taken an enduro bike on. And yeah, comfort-wise, there's minimal vibration coming through the hands. So, if you're thinking, I'd rather get a multi-cylinder, there's going to be less vibration. I don't think that's necessarily the case. There's minimal vibration coming through the seat, a little bit of vibration coming through the foot pegs, and nothing to speak of. Well, there is a little bit of vibration you can feel through the handlebars, but it's nothing that's noticeable that would drive you crazy. I think on the other little ergonomics, whether you put windscreen in there, better wind protection I think would be a good thing. But really, you only notice that when you're going a lot faster. So over 100 k's an hour, you're getting a lot more wind coming up and hitting you in the face, etc. Not a really big deal. Yeah, and reliability. So I've had a 1190, two 1290s, and a KTM 500. I've got a RC390 race bike, a Duke 390, and this Adventure 390. And I've had nil problems. Oh, the 1190, I think the stator failed, and that needed to be replaced under warranty. But that's the only issue I've had with KTM. So maybe it's a little bit different in different countries, but I think KTM has been one of my most reliable brands I've ever had. Who do I think this bike is for? So I think particularly someone who's on a budget, just wants to commute, have a bit of fun, to trial the adventure scene, or you could buy this and never go off-road at all. It would still be a great fun commuter, get around, lightweight bike, cost effective. Also someone who's on a restricted license, who's not allowed to ride a more powerful bike. Now, having said that, if you don't have a restricted license and money's no object, and you're after a lightweight adventure bike, the 701 I think is the sweet spot. It's got more power than this. I think it's about 74 horsepower as opposed to this one, which is about 40. And the weight is actually lighter than this as well. The downsides would be if you're a bit vertically challenged, the seat height is quite high on that as standard, and you do have to customize it a bit to bring it up to an adventure level, meaning you need some sort of wind protection and some sort of cruise control. But that's my thoughts on that. The sun does make it difficult there. It's just a little bit of a go there. Quick shifter. You have to exert more force on the downshifts than you do the upshifts. But I don't get any false neutrals with it, so that's a good thing. Yeah. Oh, the other nice little thing that it comes with is it's got a cigarette lighter accessory port, so you can stick in items for charging there. That's all pretty good. A couple of trikes. So this is the little 390 Adventure. So this is a 2024 model, in black, and yeah, I think it's attractive as far as adventure bikes go. You can hear a few sports bikes in the background there, and you can see this bike, it's got those Rally STRs. So I'm just going to go through the menu here and just put it into off-road. So there's your ride modes, street, off-road, that's it. And you go over to motorcycle, there's your ABS, off-road. There's your two off-road settings, and it's reflected there down the bottom. Off-road, still got traction control turned on, but obviously in the off-road mode it's going to allow a little bit more wheel spin. So we've only got this little tiny loop here of dirt. I wasn't planning on doing any dirt today. Okay, off we go again. Now, put that visor down, and let's go back to ride mode, street, close throttle. Okay, we're in street mode, and motorcycle settings, ABS, back to road, and back out again. So now we've got street and road, with traction control still turned on. And we're going to head back up the mountain. Another nice little section of forest here. got this nice road that's just carving through lots of these tree ferns and big gums. That afternoon sun glinting through. So sometimes it's good to just have a look around and admire the scenery. Got a few boys out in front, out for a Sunday drive. Looks like it could be a R34 GTR and a WRX out in front. Out for a bit of fun. None of us are going flat out, obviously. If they were, I don't think I'd catch up. But it'd be interesting to see how I can do with a bit of a follow cam on this. This 360 is very good at that. And I'm recording this in 8K, so I should have a fairly good zoom in ability. Stop recording. Another part of the golden hour with the sun streaming through to the right. Beautiful blue skies today. Balmy 17 degrees at the moment. So I'm pretty rugged up to cut out the windshield. Some city views coming up on the left. Just looks right over to the bay there.